We have breaking news out of California. NBC News has learned a Los Angeles man has been arrested on terror-related charges. He allegedly discussed wanting to kill LAPD officers and set off explosives at the Santa Monica Pier and on LA freeways. Back with me here, NBC News Justice correspondent Pete Williams, who has been reporting on this case. Pete, what do we know?
Well, you gave the right word, disgust. This is a sting case. The FBI says it became aware of this man in March after he started making incendiary comments on a private message exchange site on the internet. He talked about wanting to kill people in the U.S. to set off some kind of civic reaction. Then he talked about after the attacks on mosques in New Zealand, he said there needed to be some sort of retaliatory talks. After that, the FBI began to have meetings with him and an undercover operative, first talking online, then meeting in person. And according to people familiar with the case, the man sort of cycled through a number of different targets. First, he said he wanted to kill his neighbor. Then he said he wanted to maybe kill policemen in their patrol cars. Then he talked about shooting churches, shooting Jews on the street. And finally, from what we understand, he settled on wanting to set off a bomb on the Long Beach Pier at a meeting that was going to happen this past weekend. Now, he admitted he didn't know how to make explosives. The FBI said this undercover person he didn't know was with the FBI said they could put him in touch with someone who knew how to build explosives. And what he did, according to investigators, is go out and buy nails that could be used as shrapnel. So he was under the attention of the FBI from the very beginning. There was never any actual danger to the community. And we'll learn more about this case at a news conference in about an hour and 15 minutes out in L.A.
And this was a former member of the United States military? Served
4 months in Afghanistan, served, I think, in 2013. He had weapons. He had a number of rifles, but he had no ability. He told the undercover he didn't know how to build explosives himself. So you always wonder in these cases, what would they have done if it hadn't been the FBI undercovers? But certainly the kinds of things he was talking about are disturbing, and he did agree to undertake a number of steps that he thought would lead to some kind of an attack.
All right, Pete Williams, thank you.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.